Enlightenment is like the graduation ceremony from this university of unrealistic reality. Congratulations, you finally got it. You finally passed all the tests. This is a metaphor, of course, because even if we don't pass all the tests and we don't graduate this university, it really doesn't matter, because it's like a game or something in the appearance that we are students that are learning something and have to graduate. Nothing will happen if you don't. If you'll just finish this thing without graduating and acknowledging that you have passed all these tests and trials. If we go along with this metaphor of studying, it's usually people tend to choose their major, the thing that they want to be experts in, and their tests and studies and knowledge will be aimed to this topic or investigate this thing. Some people will choose to explore relationships, and their tests will be in this area. Some will choose to self-explore or to achieve something in the world, become something, change the world. They have career aspirations, they have ambitions or dreams, and every type of person has a different interest and abilities and talents, and so he enrolls into this class, anthropology or science or something that is related to him. And everything that will happen in his reality, her reality, will be attuned to this kind of studying. It may seem very heartless and detached. This is only a classroom. These tests of life are meant for us to graduate from this process, and to see this thing in this view is like very inhumane, because what are these tests? These tests are not something that is detached from your life and has no connection to emotion. These tests are our life. These tests can be illness or divorce, accidents, or the death of a loved one. It's a major test, and it can happen once and it can happen again, and it seems like, why, if you've gone through this process, through this thing, you get it again, you get the same test again, sometimes in the higher degree of difficulty, because you have to face something else, and maybe you are weak from your past experience and the way you tried to handle things. And so this is something that is very, very hard for people to acknowledge these trials and tests as what they are, the way for the character to learn, to grow, and to graduate. And this is the highest aspiration or will, because all nothingness has no will. It doesn't want people to pass the test and be enlightened, but it has like a nature of pulling everything, and humanity is something towards it, to center it again in the source, to return to the source, that everything returns to what it is, its true nature. This is why there is a constant call. And this constant call is not a voice that says, oh, like God is saying, oh, come back to me, or pray and you will be with me, or repent your sins and be with me, and I will. This is not a voice that calls, or someone who is like deciding that he will find God inside him and return to the source. This is not something you willingly do by dedicating yourself to God. This crying, the crying of this thing to itself is through the process of living and through the separate forms, trials and tests. A person that detaches himself from his life and doesn't connect himself to anyone and dedicates himself to studying or meditating or sitting in a cave somewhere will have fewer tests or almost none. This will not get him closer to himself, to the nature of things, because he will not and he cannot evolve. The only thing that molds us, that changes us, that makes us the diamond we were meant to be, is the chiseling of life, is the constant struggle, endless molding, going through the ring of fire. These things inevitably cause the self to reflect very deeply, and because it has no choice, because it's too powerful, too connected, too meaningful, too true, because the philosophical side of things, this cry, when you dedicate yourself to this exploration of what is, you explore, and it's self-indulging, it satisfies the ego, and nothing really happens. Nothing really happens. And it's like these people enrolled in a class that is the most easy one. They can say it's very hard, and you can say it's very hard to sit and stare at the wall for 40 years, and people have done that, and people dedicate hours to this exploration and meanings and everything, but they are avoiding life itself, their lives, what they were meant to do. I'm not talking about people who naturally were born into these states, or this isn't their story, about the people who choose voluntarily to avoid life, avoid the pain, try to avoid the pain, because you will never be able to avoid these tests. They will come to you. When they decided to do that, they also decided not to meet themselves, not to return to the source, not to be what they are. So these lessons, you sit in the classroom and you learn something, and you see what's happening around you, and you hear the words, and you feel everything. There are strong emotions in these tests and trials, and you struggle to understand, but sometimes you don't. You don't get the lesson. You sit through the lesson. You know everything that is happening. Suppose you are in an abusive relationship, so you sat in this classroom and in this topic of abusive relationships, and you learned about your character and the abuser, and you knew everything, and you went through that, and maybe you broke free from that, and then you find yourself in another abusive relationship. Sometimes you have to do the process of learning several times. But as long as something continues to appear in your life as a challenge, you must know that you haven't fulfilled or learned the lesson that you were meant to learn. Something is happening again maybe in a slightly different way, maybe in an entirely different way, but you know that it has a connection to what has happened before. And it happens again, and you wonder, how come this is happening after everything I know and I've learned and I did, and maybe I did very well last time. Why is it happening again? So this state of graduating, enlightenment, is a very strict examiner. He will not give you points just for trying, and he's very fair. If you know the material, if you did everything that you had to do in this test, then you will pass the test. There is no other way that you will pass this test. And even if you got 99 points out of 100, you will get the test again. Because it tolerates nothing. It tolerates no inaccuracy. It has to be exactly what it is meant to be. It's a choice. It's a thing that people may or may not do in their lifetime, learn their lessons and graduate. But if you are interested in this process of graduating from this illusory reality, you must know that you have to score 100 in the test. And what it means is that you have to know the answers and you have to implement them in the way that shows that you know the answers. If you know the answers and you don't implement them, you will not pass the test. Everything has to be perfect. You have to do exactly what needs to be done in this situation to answer the question correctly. And then, if you answer all the tests of your life correctly, then you will graduate. And it doesn't mean that you have to solve all your problems, because this is impossible. There will be problems in your life, there will be challenges, and it's not like you have to solve your problems and show that you know how to solve your problems and then you finish the test. But you must know how to try to solve your problems in the best way and how to address the problem, and you have to be very fierce in addressing it, and only the will to do that, and only your ability to look at what is happening in the right light and be very focused and try your best, and you know it's your best. The result is nothing. There is no result. There is no process. There is no problem. There is no problem. There never is something in your life that is wrong, because you are this eternal thing that looks at itself or expresses itself, so there's nothing wrong, and there is never a problem, and so the problem itself is not real. So you don't have to solve the problem. You don't have to pass the test by solving the problem and making everything right. You have to pass the test by knowing what you are up against, what you have to do in this state, and do it. With all your heart and all your soul, just do the thing that you have learned that is right to do in this state. Because I'm 50 years old, I've seen many things in my life, and many people going through so many hard times and difficulties and relationships and deaths and illnesses. And surprise, you have a stroke, and surprise, the place that you worked and loved is closed, and surprised, you are alone because everyone left you. Surprise. It's not a surprise, because it is the process of life that you pre-planned, we pre-planned for every separate form. We pre-planned an entire movement, something that he moves through. The only reason we did that and we put all these challenges in the way, all these difficulties, all this hardship, all these tragedies, and I don't talk about the good things in life, which of course are around us, and these are, because it's not something that you grow through. You grow through the pain. You can grow through the process of doing and creating and evolve in this, but it's a natural, spontaneous movement that is attuned and synchronized with this oneness. This is why it's good, because it is in the right way, and when you do something like that, everything helps you, and it's good, and you feel good, and it's not like a lesson. You don't learn anything from this thing, because you'll only learn how to see your potential being expressed in a beautiful way, and then creativity, and then everything is beautiful. I'm talking about these lessons, these hard lessons that you don't want to take. You'd rather not take. So you can say, what does this thing, God or nothingness, your name, want from me? What does he want from me? Why don't he leave me alone to live my life? I'm trying the best I can, but I can't do anything, and I can't progress into my way because it's too damn hard. These lessons are hard, too hard, and these tests, I cannot pass them, and it's such a tiresome process to do that again and again and again, and nothing changes, and I'm not enlightened, and I don't graduate, and it's only suffering and more suffering and more suffering. What does this thing want from me? Why can't the story be different? And of course, this thing, this all nothingness is you. So you can ask, what do I want from me? Why do I do that to myself? Why did I do that to myself? Why did I decide for my character to go through this story? And you can answer. And I suggest you look at it in a more round kind of way, holistic kind of way, where you see the entire story of the character, and you see the process it is going through, and you see where it started in her nature, in her the way she acts, and where is she now? Has she changed? Has reality and this life changed her for the better? Has it made her stronger through dealing? Is she stronger now? Because dealing with something hard, when you go through the process and you move through the trial, you are supposed to come out stronger with some kind of knowledge that you couldn't attain in a different way. You couldn't attain this knowledge about suffering, pain, and tragedy without going through it yourself and learning what you have to do and knowing that you can go through this pain and continue your life, but you know the pain. And also, bonus points, you will have so much more empathy for people around you because you know what they are going through, and you can feel their pain, you can help them because you know. My husband is dealing with these special children. Sometimes people who have a special child, sometimes they break because it's very hard for a family to take care of this kind of hopeless situation where a child, you know, he will never grow to be a normal person and you always have to take care of him. And it's interesting to see how each family takes this challenge and goes through this terrible story. And it's beautiful to see that some families are using this story to teach others or to help others through their story and to help their child. this is a terrible test, but I don't think there is a saying that no one would like to, if you have like a bag of troubles on your back, you will not, and someone comes in your way and say, do you want to change these bags? I don't tell you what I have in the bag, and you don't tell me what I have in the bag. Let's change, but you will not. You will choose your own suffering and troubles, because you never know what is in the bag of the other person or what will be in the bag, because even the happiest persons, life without slightest problems, they live like in a, nothing happens to them, and something can happen to them. You can never know. You know, and you know that you can never know. So you choose your own suffering. It may sound like an impossible mission to pass all the tests, to learn all the lessons and pass all the tests, because I think if you think about this offer, you think, okay, so in order for me to be enlightened or self-realized, I have to make everything right, like I have to solve everything and everything has to be okay. No, troubles can stay. The problems can stay. The situation can be the same. You yourself have to learn the lesson, have to act in the highest way you can, and this is the way you pass the test, not by solving the problem. So this is in the range of your ability to do. You can do that. You can act the best way you can act. You can deeply, deeply try to see what is this life test. Okay, let's start. What is your major? What did you decide to learn? What are your lessons revolving around? This is your life. You have the answers. What is your major? And inside this major, when you learn your lesson, are you paying attention in class to what is happening? To what are you sensitive to every nuance, to everything that is being said, to everything around you? When you learn, do you really want to learn? Are you like the pupil that sits in the classroom and drinks the words of the teacher? This is how you should drink the words of the lessons you are going through. What is it telling you? And if you pay attention in class and learn very hard, see the lesson, then the test, which is an event or something that puts everything you know into action, into acting. And when it's time to take the test, do you really put everything inside this piece of paper, inside the test, everything you know and learned and paid attention in the lesson, and implement it and write it down and leave no word unsaid? You give everything inside this process of learning and show yourself that you have learned, that you have changed and grown, that you attended class. Attending class is attending life. You have to attend your life to pass the test, not to avoid lessons and tests and trials by pretending that you do them in a different way. There is no different room for people who take other kind of tests that are for the philosophical side of this idea of worshipping the source, and they have to be excellent in this kind of thing, in meditating or in knowing. This is not the classroom. This is just what you talk about in the hallway. People who don't attend their life, don't attend their tests and lessons, try to avoid them, cannot pass the tests. So the good news is that your life is the process you must go through in order to graduate from this thing, to return to the source, to be what you are. The process is of growing, of learning. And the good news is that you can graduate like this. You don't need years of training and practicing and returning. You can graduate in seconds. Just attend class. Open your ears, open your eyes, be where you are. Pay attention, implement, act. I hope you do that. I hope you attend your life, attend class. Bear bravely these lessons, hard lessons, and graduate.